Okay, so um, I just did a video on my grieving process. That when I go through transformations, I always have to, I always feel this overwhelming urge to cry when I go through a transformation because I, and this is how my thought process is. So when I go through a transformation process, I look back at the old me and I'm grateful for that past version of me, for how I got myself to where I am now. And I thank that part of me and I cry because that part of me did not deserve whatever she went through. And I'm proud. There's tears of like being proud as well, the pride of how I handled things and how I didn't give up. A lot of emotions, gratitude, anger, sadness, you know, lots of different emotions, and I allow them to come up. I allow them to take up space. I allow them to be felt. For a very long time, I was so good at suppressing those emotions. I was good at shoving them down. I was really good at hiding them, pretending they weren't there, keeping myself busy, doing things to avoid actually having to face those emotions. So now I honor them. I don't see them as a burden. I see them as a part of me wanting to be heard and expressed. And sometimes it just takes me crying and sitting in the silence to allow them to actually be heard. Problem is that usually I've shoved them down so hard and for so long that they come up randomly and sporadically when I start crying because I haven't addressed them, which was something that I did up until now, I would say. I kept myself busy for all of last week, and for reasons, for the fact that, I gotta pay the bills, and they offered up overtime, and I didn't have any children's appointments during that time, so therefore I took full advantage of it, and so I worked every day except for one day, so 6 days, and I was exhausted this week. And then I also had children's appointments and stuff like that I had to get taken care of this week. So still pretty busy, but not nearly as much as I was last week. And so I finally was able to sit down. And yes, for the last couple of days, I kind of kept myself busy trying to avoid having to sit and actually deal with the feelings. Today, I felt them come up and it was like, okay, we're going to do this now. Too bad. We're going to do it now. And so I allowed them to come up. I did a video on it about allowing them about spending time with that inner child and my higher self and connecting back with those parts of me. Honoring that inner child and talking to that inner child, and then also my higher self and all of us coming together. working together to move forward. So what I wanted to talk about is that when you are going through a transformation, it's going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to feel wrong. I remember the first one that I had, and I felt like everything was falling apart. I felt like I was doing something wrong, and I felt like all my emotions were wrong, and so much guilt and shame for those emotions and for all of those things. I felt all of it. Anger for, not being able to control myself, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to get on here and talk about when you go through this transformation, when you do them, be kind to yourself. You're gonna feel yucky. You're gonna feel alone. Know that you're not alone, but it does feel that way. It does. Do whatever you need to do. Breathe, yawn, sigh, scream, whatever it takes for you. Just don't scream really loudly, at the top of your lungs. Maybe into a pillow. That's a big one that I've heard a lot of people use. Do whatever you need to release that energy, because it's just stuff that's trying to get out. It's that dense energy that's been sitting inside of you, that's been holding you down, weighing you down, keeping you stuck. It's got to come out. So you just got to let it out. Release it however you need to release it. Crying is a big one. Crying is one of my go-to ones. I'm going to be really honest. Crying is one of my biggest ones, because it's something that I normally would not do in front of people, or it's something that I normally wouldn't feel comfortable doing, period. So it's really put me outside my comfort zone, because I normally would never allow people to see me cry, and here I am recording it, not because I'm trying to get anything out of it. All I want to show is that it's okay to cry, that it's safe to cry, that it's one of the best ways to release that stuck energy is to cry, and to allow yourself to cry, to give yourself that allowance, to let that inner child just wants to cry. And I've cried many times, just uncontrollably. And as you saw, if you watch that other video, the snot and the grossness, the ugly cry, I have ugly cried, and it felt good, because that's what your inner child needs, is to let them cry, and for your higher self to come in and to allow yourself to just hold yourself, to just really support yourself in this moment, to give yourself a safe place to just let it all out. Because when you've had things done wrong to you and there was no one there, you have got to be that person there. You have got to be that person that stands there. You've got to save yourself. You've got to be that person that comes in and protects that inner child. And that's what this is. That's what you're doing. So when you're going through that transformation, you may get sick. You might, have a cold or something like that. Those are part of it. It's your body having to shut down and reboot to upgrade. Like I said, be kind. Vitamins, zinc, vitamin C, lots of water is really, really helpful. Drink lots of water regardless, because of the fact that you need to flush out all those toxins out of your body. Rest is a big one. Lots of sleep. your body needs it. Your body's rebooting, so it's important that you get lots of sleep. Epsom salt baths are really, really important too. They're not only a spiritual bath, but it's also just good for your body. It helps release the toxins. Slow down. Don't try to always be in a hurry, because that's honoring your body during this transformation right now. You're honoring the fact that you need to just kind of bring it down a notch. You don't need to be always on the go. You don't need to be doing something every minute of the day. It's okay to take a breather and just sit and do absolutely nothing. You are not lazy if you are doing nothing, okay? You are honoring yourself. Don't rush anything. So if you are trying to take care of something, take your time in doing it, because your brain is having to reboot again. Like I said, you're rebooting, and so therefore your brain is going to be like it's going to be a little slow. It's kind of like when you hard reset your computer and nothing's going to work until it finally reboots, right? Okay, so your mouse is not going to be able to open up Windows or any kind of like the internet. So you can't click on anything because it's having to do the little like process. Okay, that's the same thing with your brain. Same thing. Don't try to force anything, and don't try to resist anything. Okay, this is where that whole going with the flow really plays in. So like, don't try to push for something to happen, and don't try to prevent it from happening. Like with crying, don't try to force yourself to cry, and don't try to hold yourself back from crying. Don't try and stop yourself from crying. Just let things happen as they happen, okay? Again, allow things to kind of just flow. Allow things to happen. Just kind of like let it be. And then one of the biggest ones, and this is going to be another video that I make, no judgment. Don't judge yourself for where you're at or what's happening. Do not call yourself a baby. Do not call yourself a pussy. Do not call yourself, any negative names. Don't don't mentally beat yourself up. Okay? Those thoughts are not needed in any way, sort of form. If you feel them coming, and this is where meditation really kicks in, is like if you've had those thoughts that have been on repeat regardless, that they aren't even yours to begin with, but you took on as your own, and they've just played on repeat over and over again to where you don't even know that they're there. They're just automatic. That's where meditation comes in to help out, okay? If you feel like, if you hear those words come up, if you feel them, be nice to yourself. Call them out. I usually say, Sheena, that's not very nice. So if I have like a rude thought that comes up, a judgmental thought, any judgmental thought that I have come up, Sheena, that's not very nice. Be nice. I say that. And I'll even say it out loud, which I probably sound crazy saying it, because like it'll be random moments where like I have that thought and I'll be like, Sheena, that's not very nice. Be nice. People probably are looking at me like, what did you do that wasn't nice? And probably think that I'm just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but that's okay. Just sometimes you just got to talk to yourself that way, because sometimes that inner child can be still a little resentful and a little angry, and we got to work on building that inner child back up, because that's where a lot of it is coming from, is that repressed anger and pain and stuff like that. So sometimes we got to be nice. Be nice. And then the last thing, this is where like it's really important for you to understand that the deeper you connect with yourself, the deeper your abilities will go. What I mean by that is that the more that you can connect with yourself and understand the pain and the suffering and why, and releasing that and really going through these transformations, the deeper you go, the more you will be able to get in touch and in tune with your true self. When I say abilities, I mean like being able to be compassionate for others, being able to love unconditionally, being able to find peace, as well as, being in touch with being a healer and being a medium and all of those kind of things. All of that stuff is at the depths of our soul. And in order to get there, we have to actually start digging and start, uncovering a lot of this stuff. And so when you go through a transformation, you're going to dig up some dirt that doesn't feel good. And you have to sort through it, and you have to clean it up, and you have to heal it, and then you have to release it. That's part of the whole transformation process. So these are all the things that I wanted to share. And I wanted to also, I forgot to add one more thing. When you go through it, there are many times that we have suppressed our anger. If you are someone, much like how I was, if you have suppressed an insatiable amount of anger, so much anger because there was nowhere to redirect it, allow that anger to be there without action, meaning to sit in that anger, to understand it, to talk to it. Many times when we get angry, we want to do something. We want to throw something. We want to beat something up. We want to yell. We want to hit something. There are so many things that we want to do with that anger. When really sometimes what we need to do is we just need to sit with it, because anger is a secondary emotion. What I mean by that is that anger is coming from somewhere. And more than likely, usually always, that anger is coming from pain. An insane amount of pain. And so when you sit with it, when you actually sit with it and don't do anything with it, don't take it out on anybody, don't throw anything, don't do anything. If you sit with it, that's whenever you can shift it, you can alchemize it. That's whenever you can release it by crying. Many times when you sit with it and you try to understand it and you really let it talk to you, that's where some of the biggest transformations can happen, is that realizing that you are just hurting on a very deep emotional level and it needs to come out. And that's whenever the deep tears come out. And that's where a lot of my heavy, ugly crying came from, was that insane amount of pain. And that anger is valid. That anger is telling you that somewhere somebody crossed the line and you need to make a boundary to say that that's not going to happen again. That's what that anger is telling you. That anger is saying, hey, this is not okay. And that's where you have to step in as your higher self to protect that inner child, to create that boundary. Okay? So I'm going to leave that stuff there because of the fact that I got a couple more videos to make and not a whole lot of time before my court appointment. So I'm going to also go grab my tea and, get started on doing some more videos so that I can start uploading, because I've missed making videos. Because I really, really wanted to make videos, but I was also not in a place where I could. So I really missed it. So I hope you stay. Well, no, let me, brain rebooting. Don't mind me. Stay beautiful and stay blessed, because you are beautiful and you are blessed. And I love you. Have a beautiful, blessed day.